You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hat.
Hey guys, this is Tanya.
Hi, this is Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
So today we have I don't want to say a classic, but I guess it kind of is at this point, 1999. Is that what we're terming as a classic?
I'm old.
Yeah, man, I was in high school. That's frightening. But we are going to be discussing a movie called The Sixth Sense, which you've probably watched, from 1999. So we thought this had a lot of psychological elements, but also it was just an interesting story and some good dynamics to explore. So if you've seen this or if you haven't seen it in a while, go back and watch it, because I think Erin and I were both discussing, we hadn't seen it in a while, and it certainly was like all of a sudden things made sense, whereas I think maybe I wasn't paying attention, or I just didn't really catch things when I first watched it way back when it first came out. So yeah, I don't know, it definitely, watching it again last night, I was like, oh, everything clicked.
It's funny because I watched it last night too, and I was just same thing. I was like, oh yeah, I know, because part of me is like, oh, I won't even have to watch this whole movie because I'm going to remember it just from the opening scene. Nope. I remembered some of it. I remembered like some things that Cole did, but a lot of it, no, I did not remember. I did not remember a lot of the interactions at all.
Yeah, I didn't either. I know there's been a lot of things written about this because I think at the time, so many people watched it and they were fascinated by this type of movie. It was kind of an innovative genre by M. Night Shyamalan. And I think people were just kind of confused about it. And so people wrote about it for years afterwards and kind of explained it. And I would read some of those things and I was like, I don't even really remember. Or like, I just don't think I paid attention to it. But yeah, it is. Yeah. I really did not remember any of it except for like a few scenes and, obviously the I see dead people, which is like the classic, line from it. But yeah, so we thought this would be interesting to talk about because it definitely has a lot of therapy elements. Not only just because main character Bruce Willis, Dr. Crow, is he's a child psychologist, but also just the interactions that they have between him and the young boy, Cole. Yeah, they really kind of, it's interesting to like a therapy process, know, and just show like what they worked through and how they worked together. One being a ghost and one not. But
you gave it away. Spoilers. You forgot to say spoilers ahead. Sorry, guys.
Sure this movie is probably the most spoilered alerted like ever. I don't know if that's a term, but it's so many people are like, hey, just so you know, that movie, the guy was dead all along. Like, just like that's what a lot of memes have been about. And it was kind of but yeah, it so is. If you don't know that by now, you know it. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. 1999.
Yeah, pretty sure most people do. But, and talking about, and I love Bruce Willis, young Bruce Willis here.
I forgot that he had hair. I forgot that he had hair at one time.
Yeah, he had a nice head of hair. Yeah, he's pretty handsome man.
That must have been, was that before Moonlighting or was Moonlighting before that?
Moonlighting was before that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That was when we all were introduced. Well, not all of us. I mean, some of these people are like, Moonlighting? What's that?
Yeah, Moonlighting. And we look back because didn't we do a series on it? Didn't we?
On Moonlighting? No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah. Nicolas Cage. Moonstruck.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking of that. Yeah, but he was in a series with Sybil Shepherd and called Moonlighting, and he also did the Die Hard series like before this in the 80s and the 90s too.
There's always the controversy whether it's a Christmas movie or not.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I don't know. I like him, so I don't
I like him. I like his acting.
Yeah, he's a good actor, and now it's unfortunate where he's at now. He's got like he can't talk. He's got like like white matters disease, I think. But it's really sad to think of. But this is like in his glory days. This was so nice to celebrate him as an actor when he He's really good in this, as well as the little boy Haley Joel Osment. He was like 11 at this time, and he was
Yeah. Yeah,
He
he was
was
he was great.
yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we see that Dr. Crow, he's start out in the movie, he's getting an award to be like, honored as a prominent child psychologist. His wife is so proud. They're having this like lovey-dovey moment, getting some wine. The wife kind of hears something in the cellar, kind of thing, but just kind of thinks, "Ugh, that's just kind of freaky, whatever." And then, all of a sudden we realize that there is somebody there who broke in. It's a former client of Dr. Crow's, who's now he's an adult, Vincent Gray, who is Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, like it's so creepy looking because he looks so creepy and scary, which I know that's the whole point of the character. But yeah, I was telling Tanya, I was like, I think that was one of the brothers or someone from 6 Feet Under, but it's not. It was Donnie
He
Wahlberg.
looks so different though. It's not
Yeah.
until you really look at the picture and you're like, okay, I can see that. But like just in the scene he's playing, you would not. I didn't recognize him. I kept
No.
looking for him. I'm like, I don't see him because I saw his name in the credits at the beginning. But yeah, we had to look that up and do a little dive for that because we were like, where was Donnie? Like,
Yeah, who was he? Yeah.
but he was he wasn't in his New Kids on the Block,
Yeah,
phase
that's
there.
it, yeah, it was hard for him to he wasn't saying he wasn't
He wasn't
singing.
hanging
or anything.
tough,
I was gonna say, oh Donnie.
Stand tough. Oh god, I have that in my mind.
Now all the people with their jean jackets with the patches on the back are gonna be like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's this.
And the diamond studs on it, and be like, oh, I love Donnie. I love Joey McIntyre. Oh my god.
Alan's my favorite.
Yeah. Jeez, that brings back a lot
Funny.
of memories.
But yeah, but it was very that scene, even watching it decades later, is still so disturbing and creepy to me. I don't know why, because it's just
it's traumatizing. It's
Yeah.
frightening. I mean, because we work with clients, and we both worked with kids, and you think you always want it. Sometimes you don't get to follow through with kids, and sometimes you think, oh my gosh, did I do everything right by that kid? And of course we try our hardest, right? But this is like a therapist's worst nightmare, right? Like one of them where somebody is coming back saying, you failed me, and now I'm going to shoot you and shoot myself.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely terrifying. And I mean, it's just the scene itself is just like, ugh, it just gives you like a nauseous feeling.
Yeah. And that he's just in his
just really-
underwear. Yeah, his underwear. He looks very disturbed
emaciated.
and just really sad. So that's the beginning of the movie. It's just lots of anxiety producing feelings.
Yeah, it goes right into it. I mean, it has the lovey-dovey scene, and then it goes right into it, and so that doesn't set you up very well. But and you see the Dr. Crow get shot, but then it flips to a year later where it's like, oh, okay, and you see Dr. Crow just checking in on another patient who has similar symptoms to this other client who had come in to absolutely terrorize him, and was really upset and shot him and I presume shot himself because he was holding the gun to his head. And he's like, I'm not gonna fail this client because he has the same exact symptoms of like social isolation, was kind of ousted, father's not there kind of thing, or father had passed, or those kind of things. And that's the little boy that Haley Joel Osment plays, Cole.
Yeah.
And he's kind of observing him. It says like the next fall, South Philadelphia or something. And so you just kind of see him moving on. Like you assume, oh, he survived. And again, spoiler alert, he did not. But, all throughout the movie, you're thinking, okay, this guy's really trying to do right by this guy. But he's just a ghost psychologist.
Well, and then what I was thinking of too is like, how did he get on his client list? Like, how did he end up?
I know. Yeah. Like, how did he have those notes? Like, he showed the notes and the history and everything.
Yeah, like,
I guess it's like in the ghost world, he needed to keep up his practice or his caseload.
So that's I was wondering, like, how did he have a full file and all the past? Because he had all his past notes from people who've seen him before.
Yeah.
And then
that's exactly.
And
Yeah.
and who referred him?
Oh,
And how did he get the referral to start seeing him?
yeah, like where is this coming from? Like look at it from that perspective. I know that just gets like brushed under the rug, but that's what we're thinking because that's the first thing we're like, wait a minute, because we get that all through like realistic means, hopefully, right? And these are pretty detailed notes.
And he's doing his research. He's with his DSM in the back, in his basement, doing all his research after,
Yeah,
taking
he's
his
got like
notes on his
access to
pad.
it.
Yeah, so it's
I don't know. I don't know if it was like maybe the little boy like kind of called out a need for him, or maybe it was
yeah,
what he needed, so he was just supplied that as a
yeah,
psychologist, like a
yeah.
ghost psychologist who's
Because
given that
like
stuff.
when we see Cole's other ghosts that he's interacting with, they find him no matter how far they are. So maybe, you know, Dr. Crow found Cole, in that way, in just
Yeah.
the afterworld or whatever, ended up creating the notes, the past notes
Yeah.
for him.
They just set that up nice. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because when you were, I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. When I was watching him on the bench across, like, from his like townhouse or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's like,
He has
and I'm
his
like,
little
wow, those are
briefcase.
detailed notes. Like, I don't get those in real life. Like, that's
Yeah.
not like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
And they've
like
got
he
like
was
all the past notes. That's a pretty
Yeah,
thorough
and it's
file.
funny not to jump from like another episode that we did before, but it's funny because we just did the Shrink Next Door like the other week, and we were like, what a creep! He's walking with him and he's doing all this stuff out of office. But now Dr. Crow, we're like, what a great psychologist! He is so good, stalking Cole across the bench, following him into the church.
Watching
Doing all
him creeping up on him.
it's in a different manner because this seems like it's more out of love and caring, and he actually wants to help Cole.
Yeah, he definitely does, and you definitely sense a feeling that Dr. Crow it truly loves his job, loves these kids, cares about them, which is why he was probably such a prominent child psychologist in life. And it almost sounds like his purpose in the afterlife, or kind of wherever he is, maybe in limbo kind of thing, is to be able to connect with this person, to kind of have that resolve from this situation, not only for himself but also Cole really needs him too, because he needs to learn how to, like, I'm getting visited by dead people, and some of them are pretty scary. I mean, they're not, some of them aren't friendly. Like, one of them leaves, scratches on his back, and the other one that he sees is throwing up stuff and just creepy looking. But Dr. Crow then teaches him skills of how to manage that, which is very therapeutic, right? Like, don't run and hide, but ask them, like, they're coming to you for a reason. And I wonder if, I just had a weird thought. I wonder if Dr. Crow kind of had this is just totally like character made up stuff, thoughts, but if he had this feeling that, like, well, I'm coming to you for a reason, so maybe these other people are coming to you for a reason, like they have something that you can help them with. Like, he kind of had a sense about that.
I don't know. Because I think he still thought he was alive at that point.
I mean, I know he definitely like thought he was alive, but I think maybe like subconsciously that was the purpose of it. Like, kind of to
maybe.
Say, like, I don't know. I'm like making stuff up about characters.
Well, and also he was trying to heal. That was also, I was wondering, how was he able to pick up all this stuff? Like Dr. Crow, like, how was he able to get those old recordings? And he was able to get his, like, he had all the cassette tapes and he was able to get them. And I thought ghosts couldn't pick up stuff. Or can they? Like, what?
Because that's from the movie. That's from Ghost. Like, we see that, like, Patrick Swayze when he's a ghost, he can't do it. But I think this is a new kind of, like, well, I'm not going to explain it, M. Night Shyamalan error, right?
Yeah,
like,
they're going to be. They can just do it. They can write notes and they can work.
I just said error instead of era. Error.
Yeah,
my Boston, my word, era. I meant to say.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. But maybe that's what. Maybe that's what it was, because I think when he started listening to the cassette tape of his past patient, that's when I think he really realized Cole was telling the truth too. And I think that's when he's like, I really want to help him talk to these people and figure out what's going on. And maybe he did think he was going to heal himself too, because it seemed like after Cole helped that girl was when, again, we're jumping ahead, sorry, that he realized that he would no longer be his therapist.
Like he had guided him, he had helped him, which is very much kind of in the therapeutic process. There comes a point where you feel like your client is good to go, and maybe, doesn't really need something at this point. They may come back, right, kind of thing. But it kind of seemed like a therapy closure. Kind of, it reminded me of that,
Yeah.
and the boy was very aware of that. He was like, well, I don't think I'll be seeing you tomorrow, and Dr. Crow was aware of that too. And then the little boy helps him. He helps him because he's trying to speak to his wife. And, in Dr. Crow's mind, he thinks it's just distance, that she's upset with him and just not addressing him. And Cole is like, when they're sleeping, you can talk to them and they'll hear you. And so he goes and he realizes, oh, like I can talk to her, let her know how much she meant to me. And then all of a sudden when, his wife is sleeping, the wedding ring that he used to wear falls out of her hand. And he realizes, he kind of flashes back and remembers, like, oh my gosh. And
I'm not
kind of
wearing
the
one.
words of the little boy, like, they all come to me and they don't know, like, they only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
Yeah.
And he starts to realize all these instances of like, wait, that's me. And why would she have my wedding ring? Why am I not wearing it? And why weren't these things? Why were people interacting with me? And kind of all this stuff.
Yeah. And what a line too. Like they only see what they want to see. So like when that's happening too, Cole, that's when poor little Cole is so terrified still. And like he's so, he's like, because that was before he even told him, like, I see dead people. He's like, I'm around, people are around me. They only see what they want to see, or, it's very scary. And then there's this therapist ghost in your living room, but
he's meeting with you to have sessions and like sitting across from your mother when he comes home and
just waiting.
Like, here I am waiting for you.
We have an hour. And it is it's interesting too, because I really like the progression with Cole too, because you could tell he's so anxious and so sad and depressed and, possibly personality disorder, like just not sure. Then you realize like, no, he's like anxious and scared because all this is happening. He doesn't know how to deal with it, but Dr. Crow helps. And then at the end, he's smiling. I love that he's like, even when they're pretending like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And like Cole lights up. Like, and you don't see him smile really at all throughout the movie.
Yeah. He has a very somber appearance throughout, kind of his facial expressions are very like he's scared for his life. I mean, I would be too if I were seeing when a car wreck happened, the person, if they passed or whatever, when the car wreck, the biker or whatever comes up outside the window. And he's well aware that he's the only one that can see these people because he keeps it a secret from his mom and from people around him, because he knows he'll be looked at as, what he's been called as a freak, right? Like he says, like he gets called a freak a lot because he is in like this having this experience that nobody else is having, and he has no idea how to deal with it. He's just terrified, understandably. And I would be as an adult. I can't imagine as a 9-year-old kid.
No, and you're having to keep it from yourself. But I wondered if the mom, at the very beginning, you see the mom, like, all the cupboards are open and she's like, then she leaves again. Then, So I always wonder if the mom has some intuition or some awareness that something is happening. Because then she's even like, Cole, was there something you were looking for? She's like, please say, like she's probably thinking, please say you're looking for something. And then he's like, let me think of something quick because I want to save mom and I don't want her to be scared. I don't want her to think something has happened. Like, oh, I'm just looking, for the Pop-Tarts or whatever. And so I was wondering if the mom had an idea before this, like something, because there's been some times when she's really cold and just different things. So I wasn't sure if she had suspected that.
I think she knows he's different, and I think she maybe thinks he has like these abilities, like telekinetic abilities or something. Like she knows something is going on, and I think it freaks her out. I think she's very scared of it, but she also doesn't really want to admit it either. But she wants him to get help. So I think she's just really confused. But yeah, there probably is some sense of like something is not right here, like it just doesn't make any sense. She keeps saying like, tell me, and like getting really upset because she knows there's something that he's just like not quite saying, or but obviously, how are you going to say that if, I think most kids probably wouldn't even know that that's different, but he has the awareness of it, but he's trying to protect her from
Right.
it. Yeah, he's very protective of her. And I love that part about, I know it's towards the end, but when Cole is telling, his mom, he's like, you miss her every day, and you asked her a question and she said every day, and then he's like, what's the question you asked her at her grave? And she's like, oh, are you proud of me? And just gives her like that closure. So there's so many therapy elements here, like giving this closure, like kind of between his mom and his grandma, who were very close. And
Well, in the one part too, which is so nice, and it did probably help heal so much trauma when the grandmother is telling Cole, we got in a fight. Your mom's father and I got in a fight, and it was right before her dance recital. So she thought I didn't attend, but I did. I was there. I was in the back. I didn't want her to see. And so just that she's able to, Cole's able to share to his mom, this is what grandma said. And she saw you. And you could just see that healing happen, for her. And it's also happening for Cole too, because he's being believed by his mom, and he's also helping his mom.
Yeah. He's got the validation of, and I think that's a big part is that of, why he was feeling so outcasted was because this wasn't something that was accepted. It wasn't even something he could talk about.
Yeah.
And he felt validated by Dr. Crow when Dr. Crow was believing him and trying to get him to work with it as opposed to like avoid it. And also to believe him. And then now his mom believes him. I think that really it looks at a lot of therapeutic elements of connection, communication, and trying not to avoid problems, but trying to process them and work with them, despite how difficult it is. But also the validation of the problem, the fact that it does exist, and because a lot of people, when they come to you, they have been told a million times over that oh, it's just this or it's that, and they've been dismissed or not listened to or told that their problems are smaller than they are. And so to have somebody just, see that and see you is very healing. And yeah, I think that, also I think Dr. Crow is very open to Cole in general. He is very much like, he does want to believe him. He's not somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to refer you to, I mean, I don't know how that would have worked, him being a ghost psychologist. I'm trying to think of how he would have had to find a ghost psychiatrist. He's not like, oh, I'm going to give you a med referral or whatever and just kind of dismiss it. And, which I think we've all seen done at times. Maybe, maybe not with any malintention, but it kind of gets passed to the side rather than just hearing this person out and seeing like, what is their experience? Maybe they're saying it in this way, but maybe their experience is actually this is what they're trying to communicate. This is what their story is.
Yeah.
And that very much is therapy. That's really kind of the heart of therapy.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of almost blind faith too. And trying to, because because Tanya and I talked about before the session that we kind of can understand Dr. Crow because we're not in our client's life in the physical world a lot, being able to interact with everything that they're interacting with, but we're a part of it and we're able to guide and help them through listening and, helping them share what's happening and hopefully giving them the voice to, make the changes that they need to, or feel like they can share a part of themselves with their loved ones if it's appropriate.
Yeah. And like giving them tools to work through all those difficult times and to just have a space where people can be heard. And so, yeah, it very much is very symbolic. I mean, this ghost psychologist is kind of obviously he can go to more places with him, and he's got more time on his hands. But I mean, it's what it seems like. I don't know. He doesn't seem to be home very much unless he's doing research in the basement. But it's very much he's yeah, we're like kind of maybe sort of like ghosts in people's lives where we're there, but we're not necessarily present, but we're there to kind of help and guide along in a way. And I just thought that was a really good. I don't know if that was intentional by M. Night Shyamalan, but I thought that was a really good way to describe the process of therapy, and I liked
Yeah.
that when I was
And I
thinking
liked
about that.
how even though he is a ghost.
No, but it's kind of funny though when you think about it, because he's just like on the bus with him. He just like randomly appears and like he's in a chair in his home. I don't really like it. It's so creepy, but it's like it is done in a loving way, but it's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, even though he's a ghost, he, even though he's a ghost, he is following a lot of the correct methods for therapy. Like, he's doing his research, he's sitting with him, he's doing active listening. It's really, it seems really appropriate. Like, it seems depicted in the correct way. Where a lot of times you see therapists and therapy in shows or on movies or whatever, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. But it does seem realistic, except he's, a ghost.
And just kind of in random places. But no,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. You're like yeah, that's a good point. Like the tools that he uses and the way he, like the process of it, I think really is depicted very well. I agree. Yeah, it is very much, because I think a lot of times in movies, I don't know if you've seen this trend, but I'll see people that go to psychiatrists and they'll be like, oh, I get my therapy from that. And they'll see them like processing with them. And I'm like, that's like a therapist. Like a psychiatrist is like, they'll do a little bit of that, but they're primarily like, they're medical doctors. They're more going to focus on the medication and how that's affecting you.
And then I think people in real world get disappointed when they go to a psychiatrist. And I've heard this, because then the psychiatrists are like, my psychiatrist, I only saw them for 15 minutes. I thought it was supposed to be an hour. I'm thinking like, no, that's what you got. You have 15 minutes because they're just, unless it's the first initial appointment, it might be a half hour or 45 minutes. But otherwise, it's a 15-minute appointment for medication management, and maybe they'll order blood work, depending. But it's just, are the meds working okay? Yep. Okay. It need to change. Oh, nope. Okay. See you in a month.
Chit chat to make sure it is about 15 minutes so you can bill appropriately. And, and then that's been my experience with it, and just with other clients as well as, personally, I know that it really can be. Yeah. It's just a check-in. I mean, I have to say my med provider is great, does do a lot of talking with me. She's an NP.
Oh, that's good.
But on the whole, I think, psychiatrists they're not really therapists. I don't know if that's something, maybe some do practice that and kind of take that in as a whole, along with medication, I guess, depending on your practice of it. But my experience has been that, it's just mainly med management and the symptoms of that. And then, psychologists and mental health therapists, master's level, like we do that, the talking, the processing, the themes, the kind of, nitty gritty emotional work.
Yeah. The riding on the bus with your client.
Bus ride therapy. Showing up to people's wakes with a young boy. It's kind of silly, but you're right. It is really like a great way to portray, psychologists, especially a male child psychologist, I think is something that you really, I feel like Bruce Willis does a great job.
Oh yeah.
Portraying him, like he really is, he really seems to care, even right before he gets shot in real life, before he dies, that he's like, I just want to help you, like tell me what, okay, I'm sorry I hurt you. And then, he genuinely seems to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. And what, I think I missed this. Can you fill in this hole for me? Or maybe it's something that maybe wasn't. I actually just thought of this.
Okay.
How did he like fail him? Was it because he he didn't believe him, or
I think so. I think that's why Bruce Willis went back to the cassette tapes to listen, because he realized that he never really helped him to process or work with the ghost he was listening to. And everyone always thought he was a freak. So that part of it, like, so even though he went to therapy and he worked on stuff, that was never resolved. So he might have misdiagnosed him. Maybe he diagnosed with him as a personality disorder or something like that. So he was never treated properly. So Dr. Crow probably thought he treated him properly. Okay, saw this, I listened and gave him the right diagnosis. But then the guy who killed everyone, he killed himself in Donnie Wahlberg.
Vincent Price. That was his name.
Yes.
All I could think of was Donnie.
Was it Vincent Price?
I'm sorry, Vincent Gray. Vincent Gray. I should know that. That's your.
That's my last name.
I know. I'm like, I know it's spelled differently, but like that's yeah.
And also Vincent Price is a different person.
I don't even.
Yeah. But so anyway, yeah, I think it was that. I think that he misdiagnosed him, and then probably Vincent probably went on this, real. And so now he's diagnosed as whatever and being treated that way. And now he's always going to be the freak and the loser or whatever,
Gotcha.
however he is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I think he suspected mood, like it said the same thing. It was like a mood disorder. He suspected him. And then it even had the same notes for Cole as well. And it was like, that was one of the tenets where he was like, he's got the same things. I can fix it with him. Right.
Yeah.
And actually that brings me like to another point. As therapists, we sometimes feel like the more experience we get and the more people we see, and obviously just, more years under your belt kind of thing, hopefully you grow in this field, right? But there are some times when you're like kind of a new therapist or a baby therapist, as some people term it, where people will, it's tough. It's tough to, because you're trying to keep all these ethical considerations. And I'm not making any excuses at all. I'm just giving our experience of it. And if you want to speak on it too, is that I can think back to when I was a new therapist and think, oh man, maybe I would have like explained that a little better, or maybe I would have, kind of these things that it's just like in any profession, really, you get better as you, especially, as a clinician, you're going to see more people and stuff. And so I think he kind of realizes that. I don't know if he was like kind of new at that time, because the Donnie looked kind of older, and I think he was like a young kid, so it was about 10 years ago, I think he said. But do you feel that way as well?
Yeah,
too?
and it's funny too, because I've actually seen like memes and stuff like that, like of like about like that depicting like new therapists, like, oh gosh, I wish I could contact the clients I saw when I was in, internship or whatever, and just say, whoops, I didn't learn all the tools yet, or I'm still awkwardly placing my hands, or I don't know how I'm supposed to move my face or ask an open-ended question, or am I supposed to have my hands on the chair handles, or how am I supposed to lean forward? Am I supposed to cross my legs or not? Am I supposed to take notes nonstop or listen? Or, so it's a lot. It's really trying to do real world stuff and being, and being a therapist, being present. So it is a skill that you learn in school, but you also really, really, really learn it in real life with real clients. And that can take a couple years to really figure it out.
Yeah. And it's so I remember thinking at the time that like that makes sense, that I won't learn things till I know what I need to learn. Like you can only learn so much in a simulated environment at school, right? You kind of have to get out there. But it's tough because you can't say that really to your clients, right? Of course there's sin and stuff like that, which I took a lot of, I thank God I had a great supervisor. I've mentioned her before, Alice. She's wonderful.
You're lucky. Mine not so much. I had I had wackadoos, but
okay. Oh, that's right. That's
both of mine were wacky.
Oh my gosh. I was very lucky. I was in community mental health when I was getting my postgraduate licensure hours, and she was just a wonderful, wonderful guide and really like, knew her stuff and really had creative approaches towards working with kids, which is like tough, I think
Yeah.
tough to find. But yeah, I think that really is something that it's hard to kind of say that because you also have confidence in yourself too, but you don't know until you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Until you know it kind of thing.
Mhm.
But there's this whole trend on I don't know if it's TikTok. Honestly, I don't even know if this is past the trend or whatever. I could be speaking old lady news, which I probably am. But there's
Okay.
like this thing where, to make, a trend in like TikTok or Reels or whatever, to make a video of you having coffee with your past self kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And I almost wonder if, having having coffee having having coffee or riding the bus with your old, therapist self kind of thing. Like, what
Yeah.
would like you brought up some good points. Like, do I take notes or not? That was a big thing for me too. I was like,
Yeah.
do I stay present or do I and I was able to kind of be like, okay, actually taking notes helps me to stay present, but I
Yeah.
have to give certain visual cues,
Yeah. And I
kind of
still
thing.
do that. Like I'll take notes. Sometimes, especially if it's a new person, it's like, no, 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 no. Like it's like
Yeah.
I'm like writing and I'll tell them like, hey, I'm going to be writing a lot this first session.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
otherwise, other sessions will be like, I'll have the person's name, start time to end time, blah, 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 what we talk about, if there's any big quotes or anything like that. And then I'll just write the note later, like I have a electronic thing that I do it.
Yeah.
But
That's good.
so,
Yeah.
but yeah, but it's very awkward at first. It's like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to word it? Am I supposed to write every single thing they say, every single thing I say? Is it, what? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very,
And there's no set answer. It's like it
no.
depends on how it works for you and how in the population you're with, the place that you're in, the environment you're in,
Mm-hmm.
your own personal style, personality of interaction.
Right.
Do you like to have like a table in between you and or like a desk in between you and your clients, or do you need
Yeah.
kind of open space? Like all of those
Yeah.
things. Like if you
Yeah.
ever go to a therapist's office in person, everything is very intentional. Very,
Yeah.
very intentional.
Yeah. And I have to say, I do not like the therapist who put a desk in between you. Of course, I have a desk now because I'm doing it virtual. That's something I'm always like wondering, should I sit in my chair and put a camera or should I sit behind my desk? So that I still have that question now. Like I'm always like having like anxiety of like, do I look okay right here? Or
Yeah.
should
Like
I
how do
should I
I
sit
appear?
sit
Yeah.
in a chair and then somehow set up everything so it's like I'm sitting in a chair so they see me like in a chair. So I always like overly I do overthink that, but I did go to a couple of therapists in the past for myself as a patient, as a client. And you go in there and it's like them at their desk and then you sit it's like, oh my God, you're such a jerk. I do not want to talk to
Yeah.
you while
That feels
I'm like,
weird.
I'm not doing a job interview.
Yeah,
And
it's a strange thing. Yeah.
but I also don't want to go to the therapist. And I've had the therapist who is the opposite. So you're on the couch or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
and then they're on the chair, and then they take off their shoes. And so I had this one. I was like, oh my God, why am I going to her? And she ends up taking off her shoes and stuff. And she's like, do you want a blanket? I'm like, nope, I'm fine. Just sitting
Mm.
here without the pillow. And I always get so annoyed at throw pillows. I always have to put them far away from me because I get grossed out thinking how many people have sat there.
Me too. Me too.
So
What germs are on here?
yeah, I'm
Ew.
like, and then she's like, do you want a blanket? And so then she took off her shoes, cuddling on her thing, and she's on a blanket all wrapped up. And then she has her coffee. I'm like, what's happening? I don't want you that cozy. I am
Yeah,
here to
yeah,
tell you
yeah.
my anxiety, and I want you present in my
Right.
anxiety with me. Like
Right.
I don't want you to be like, hey, read the room. I am so anxious. I have the pillows all on the other side of the couch. I am not wrapped in a blanket and I am not taking my shoes off.
Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. And I think that's a good point because it's almost kind of like I know we're veering off here, but I
Yeah.
think this is a
It's
good
all
discussion.
therapy.
It's all
Yeah.
therapy. Yeah. It's like kind of like, do you show up as your like some people just have authentic styles. Like they're like, I can only do it if I'm completely cozy and feel like kind of like I'm just, whatever, like wrapped up in a blanket and I'm cozy. And either you like that or maybe you decide to go with someone else. And then
Yeah.
other people, I think it sounds like you and I follow this, where
Yeah.
we're kind of like, I'll read kind of like they seem uncomfortable if I'm maybe
Yeah.
asking like this or going in this direction,
Yeah.
or maybe like kind of have this, like, if I'm kind of making too much eye contact kind of thing,
Yeah.
like in person, when I was in person,
Yeah.
but kind of that type of thing, like you kind of adapt to the person. That's the style I prefer as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And I've also had I don't know how the therapist I have now is amazing, but I've also had
Same.
therapists one time. Oh my God, this was the last session I had with her. So she ended up like sometimes she'd bring her dog into session, which is okay. I can handle that. Like it's like just in the room, but it was very dirty. It was like this little white, barky, an old dog, and so it's really
Annoying one.
smelly. Yeah, really smelly. But then one day she
Okay.
had the dog in there, but then one day, and and I love animals, but her cat was in session too. And her cat was in a
Therapy cat.
carrier. Yeah, her cat was in a carrier in the back of the room. And she's like, you don't mind? I brought my cat here. I have to bring her to the vet right after session. She's really sick. And she kept checking on her cat throughout the session. And she also has the
Oh.
smelly dog in session.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my God, I love dogs and I love cats. And I was like, nope, not seeing you again, ever again. So, and then I
Yeah.
just, that was a deal breaker for me. It was just, and before that, she was fine. She was okay. Not great, but she was,
Well, I can see how that could be very uncomfortable for you, because it's like, okay, if somebody's coming into your space, right? Like, and I think you and I are on the same wavelength with this.
Mhm.
Maybe everybody else kind of feels like I'm just going to be me, and whoever likes me will stay with me. But I think that's a little, personally, I think that's a little unfair as a therapist, because you want to, I mean, you don't have to change everything about yourself. Obviously, you're going to
right.
have some sort of like theoretical perspective, and your personality traits are going to remain stable, right? But you're not going
Mhm.
to, I think, just kind of being able to say like, hey, maybe if I have a sick cat, that maybe I can't really focus on this person, and I'm
Yeah.
not thinking about their, like, if this may be smelly and uncomfortable for this other person, it makes you feel like
Yeah.
they're not really in tune with you.
Yeah.
And
And I even asked her a couple of times, like, you want to cancel a session? Do you need to go now? Because she
you're trying
seriously
to tell
checked.
her, like,
Yeah, she seriously checked on the cat a couple times. And I was just like, this is, it shouldn't be my job as a client to make sure she's okay. Just like,
yeah.
going back to our movie, Cole was kind of taking care of the doctor a couple times too.
Yeah, this little kid and his mom too, and his
Yeah.
ghosts. He's like basically like
Yeah.
taking on a full-time job at 9 years
Yeah.
old.
No wonder he's having struggle and pretending to go to school.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go either. Yeah, he's already working. But
Mm.
yeah, no, that's a good point though. It really is. I think, like, in therapy style is, that's why people maybe shop around or kind of look for
Mhm.
different therapists, because some people you just may not click with, and then like I have had therapists in the past that have been kind of that, like, surround themselves in blankets, and I have nothing against a blanket, like
Yeah.
this was in
I like
person, take off your
blankets.
shoes, but like I don't know, maybe from New England we're just kind of not as like
Yeah.
laid
Don't
back.
touch
I
me.
find that kind
Yeah.
of gross.
Yeah. Well, and I
Maybe
just
that's
think of all I
judgmental.
mean,
I
I'm
don't
not a
know.
germaphobe, totally. But I
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
but I just don't it is like anytime I think I love that I do my therapy online now.
Me
And
too.
like
Yeah,
I
that
don't have to
aspect of it.
worry if she is, if she has 50 pillows on her couch or if she has 0 pillows. And I like pillows on
Right.
my couch at home, like and I'm fine cuddling with them.
But you
But I
clean
know
them. You know where they've been.
yeah, I know the 4 people who have been cuddling them, but it's like not yeah, you do because I've seen on my own couch when I had in person, like some of the clients would like take their feet off, take their shoes, take their feet off, take their shoes off,
Just pop them off. Yeah.
and then like you're like, oh my gosh, what are they doing to that pillow? Like they're just like
Yeah. Like, this isn't your house. I know you want to get comfortable, but don't put your feet up on, like,
yeah,
ugh, that's gross.
yeah, it is.
I have a thing with feet, like, that I
Yeah,
like
me
is
too.
like, ugh, I
I don't
don't like,
I don't
I
want to
know that's
see
my own
them.
thing.
They're so gross. They're
Like, if
like
a client asked and was like, "Hey, like, in my, like, like, I mean, you could do whatever you want virtually, right? If they have their shoes off, I don't
yeah,
care,
yeah, I don't care.
But like, if in person, if they were like, "Hey, can I take my shoe?" Like when I used to work with kids, some of them would say that, and I didn't find that weird because I'm like, well, they're just trying to get comfortable, whatever. But I just have to say the majority of them asked,
Yeah.
which
And yeah,
is
and then usually I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then, but I'm always like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just a different person. I guess I know I never would do that.
yeah, no, I wouldn't either. I would never want to feel that. Like I want to feel comfortable about
Yeah.
discussing my feelings. That doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with
And
my
even
feet.
any doctor's appointments I have that I feel like I'm gonna have to get put in like a gown or a Johnny or whatever, and like I always bring socks if I'm not, like I always
Yeah.
like if I'm wearing shoes that don't have socks, if I'm wearing like something, I always bring a pair of socks in my purse and just put them on for the appointments.
Yeah. I totally I understand that. Yeah, you just want that.
I don't want you to
because
look at my feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't look at my feet.
And I don't want to put them like in anything that like I don't know how sanitized that is.
Yeah, I don't
Gross.
want
I
to touch the
some
floor
socks.
or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've learned that we're both just kind of a little bit of we're a little bit of germaphobes. We are.
I guess.
We are. I think
I
that's
guess
what it
so.
is.
Yeah, I guess
mean,
it's
but
the anxiety.
I think it's a reasonable thing. Yeah, we are pretty anxious. We are pretty like germ aware, I think. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's probably a lot of people that would relate to that. And then
Yeah.
there's some people, if that's your thing, whatever, if that's something you need to feel comfortable, like virtually whatever, you can pretty much do whatever as long as you're not like
Pooping.
swigging back drinks and like naked or anything. That's
Yeah.
kind of, anything appropriate, basically.
Yeah. Please don't do it on the bathroom.
Yes.
Don't
Oh,
do your
God,
sessions
yes.
on the toilet.
And not driving either, because
Yes.
that's like you may say like, oh, I'm just talking, but you're also processing some hard stuff, and that can be a
Mhm.
safety hazard. I actually will
Yeah.
not take I will not I will say
Yeah.
like, hey, call me back when you can pull over or when you have time, or maybe we have to
Mhm.
reschedule this.
Yeah. But again, if you're Dr. Crow, you can do it on the bus.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. He can do it just about anywhere he can fit in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was a little aside into our
Mhm.
realms of therapy. But
Yeah.
I do think it is like everybody's personal style of therapy. There's no right or wrong way. It's kind of how you work with it, and it works to your
Yeah.
personality. And then, the client can decide how that works for them, right?
Mhm.
But I think therapists like Erin and we tend to kind of say, hey, and I would probably say quite a few therapists, I would hope, right, tend to adapt to kind of saying, oh, if I like, say for instance, if I had like a very like religious symbol in my background or something, I probably wouldn't do that, because I think that's kind of
Mhm.
exclusionary, unless I was like somebody who like said, hey, I'm a Christian
Christian
therapist
there.
or whatever or something,
Mhm.
like, and people knew about that. But being a
Yeah.
secular therapist, I probably wouldn't do that, so like
Yeah.
just kind of being aware of those things. But I've seen some people, some therapists have surprised me in some stories I've heard. I don't know how accurate they are,
Right.
but
Yeah.
they might be. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you've heard some too.
Yeah. I have heard some where some therapists will pray with their clients at the end and the beginning, even if they're not asked or if they're not, it's just,
Really?
yeah. Florida.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Erin is in Florida, and I'm not. I mean, it just tends to be. I've had that experience actually when I lived there. I had a therapist who did not disclose, because your therapy papers, when you do your intake packet, are supposed to disclose your type of therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not supposed to impose stuff that you don't disclose. Like if you're like, hey, I'm a Christian therapist or whatever, and that's in your intake paperwork, you discuss
Right.
it. I mean, that's kind of like, okay, the client goes there knowing that, right? But I had a therapist, and I will never forget this person. Um, I went there for maybe 3 times. She did not disclose that she was Christian based at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just saying I had no awareness of this. I went in and I was talking about things, and I had some friends who are gay, and she gave me a whole lecture on how she believes in Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. After
Yeah.
I was saying like, and it had nothing to do with, I wasn't talking about anything inappropriate. I was just saying,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my friend, like his boyfriend or something, just kind of brought up a random thing, and she
Right.
had to make it a point to let me know, like, I don't believe in that, which is
Right.
really, it was not integral to my therapy. And so I just was like, that is a prime case of somebody imposing
Right.
their stuff on you. And
Right.
I was just like, okay, this person is, and the way she said it to me, she also told me, if you're an introvert, you shouldn't be a therapist. because I was going to be a therapist, and I was like, I'm very introverted. I'm worried about my energy levels because I am introverted, and working with people one-on-one is better than
Mm-hmm.
a group. That's why I've decided not to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, you can't, why would you decide that? And was like, you can't do that.
Yeah. Right.
She just had very fixed ideas. But if she ever hears this, or if anybody knows who I'm talking about, that is the example of how I would never want to ever do therapy or make someone feel, because
Yeah.
she made me feel like crap. And that was like 15 years ago. And I will
Yeah.
always remember that.
Yeah. People. Yeah. I had one who discouraged me from going to grad school, and I'm like, don't do that. Like the same one discouraged me from trying to get a kitten and trying to get a puppy. Like it's like, oh my God, don't tell me your views, because like, yeah, like you're supposed to listen and guide, not tell me, not to get stuff because you don't want animals, or you don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
People.
It's not about your life. It's about how that
Yeah.
perspective of that person's life. Like, and that's
Yeah.
that's a key thing. I don't know why people would want to be a therapist without
Yeah.
understanding that.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay, so we went off on that, but
Yeah.
let's move on to the fun question.
Okay.
So, if you could have any type of psychic power, what would you like to have? In terms of like telekinesis, being able to like kind of transport anywhere, or be able to move things
Mhm.
psychically, or be able to read people's minds, like clairvoyance. Is
Oh,
there anyone
okay.
that
Like fire starter, like Carrie,
yeah
or
yeah
uh, or not Carrie. Firestarter was Firestarter.
that
I
was
don't know.
Drew Barrymore, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think I would like the ability to read minds, but I would like to not have it on all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that would be a cool one to know, but I also think it would kind of do something to
It's
you,
also
like
very
knowing
invasive,
that.
isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
you're, and that's not really. I mean, because then you're spying and you're lying and you're cheating. It's just like reading someone's phone all the time.
Yeah. That'd be a tough one.
I don't know. I guess that would be my top, but I think it would be kind of cool to be able to lift stuff. Like if I wanted to just clean my house without, kind of like
Yeah.
the Fantasia, just do 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 do, or whatever, like, or Babbity Boop, just have everyone's just cleaning for me, all my
That would be
brooms and
nice.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, birds are singing. Yeah.
What about you? What would you like?
I think I'd like to like teletransport. Like I think I would
Oh,
just like to be in a specific place. Like I don't like waiting, taking long plane rides, and I think I would just like to
yeah.
be in
Oh, yeah.
Norway
Yeah, if we could do
tomorrow.
that, and then where you're not broken up in a million pieces, you're just like,
Yeah,
back,
it like actually transports
yeah,
safely. Yeah, that'd
back
be
to
nice.
Norway.
Yeah, that'd be fun, and then like be able to
Hmm.
come back on the same day and be able
Yeah,
to
that'd be
take
nice. You could
Lucy.
tell me how all the puffins are doing and
Yeah,
everything.
I think that'd be
So
fun. But
that would be fun.
yeah. So this was a very packed
Yes.
psychological
Yeah.
episode. We gave you our perspectives, on therapy, as well as this
Dr.
movie, The
Crows.
Sixth Sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, Dr. Crows and Coles. But we
Yeah,
hope you
he
enjoyed
is
this.
one thing, he is a very hard worker though. Like he never stops.
He is
Like he
very
just,
persistent. Yeah.
yeah, he's a very, very hard worker.
Yeah, he definitely wants to make progress, and that's good.
Hmm.
But which actually is something else with when he says, he wanted to tell his wife that like you were never second, because she kind of felt like she was second because of how much he put into his
Hmm.
work,
Yeah.
kind of thing. That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's close that out here and let us know
Okay.
what you think. We thought this was interesting and a lot of themes. Tell us what you think if you watched it way back when and rewatched it, recently like we have, or just whatever. Also, any topics, anything for the future. We've got things
Hmm.
planned out over the next couple of months, but we
Yep.
sure would like to hear from you.
Yep. We're open to documentaries, shows, movies, or even topics. Like we still do that every once in a while. Like if
We
there's
do.
something that,
Yeah.
you know, if there's any Winona and Cher movie that we forgot, let us know.
I'm sure there are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love
We're-
that.
Next week, it won't be released for a while. We're recording next week, Mr. Deeds. So we're going back to Winona for a minute.
Yeah, and we're getting on a little bit of an Adam Sandler like
Oh
kick
yeah,
because
he's fun. So yeah, so if you know any Adam Sandler stuff that we might be forgetting, don't worry,
well,
Waterboy's coming.
yeah, we got Waterboy after that, and yeah, so we're going on a little Adam Sandler stuff, but I
Yeah.
actually have a couple I have in mind for that.
Oh, good.
But yeah, follow us on socials. We're now on YouTube. We have a
Hmm.
YouTube channel. And yeah, write us a review. It helps us out. Let us
Yes.
know if you want to add anything and everything. We love to hear from you. So, and don't forget, stay wicked.
And keep your mind well. All right. Have a great week. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.